I know you've been asked this millions of times, but how did you first start wanting to produce this film in the first place? Where did you hear about it?
I heard about Iris and was encouraged to read her book at a Toronto Alpha fundraising dinner. I've had friends, in particular dear friend Pauline Tong, who is the director of the Yihong Center, who's been a friend of mine for 30 years. And she's been very diligent at keeping me going to these fundraisers. And at this particular one, I saw some video of testimonials of some of the survivors, and also heard from Ontario high school teachers who had been sent on these study tours by Alpha. And I was not only impressed with that Alpha was doing that, but the impact of that trip was profound on those people. And I said, and you know, they think big at Alpha, so they said, oh, we want Hollywood feature films made, and there should be films made, make a film. And I said, well, I think there is something here. And they said, well, go away and read Iris's book. So that's what we did. And once you read Iris's book, there's no turning back.
And what made you want to be the producer and also the co-director of the film? Were there any creative differences between you and Bill?
Well, in the documentary world, cost usually being the necessity, you wear more than one hat. I mean, that's usually we are producers and directors. On larger projects like this, normally you would take on one role instead of two. But my husband's experience is in the feature film world, and we wanted to do a docudrama or have lots of dramatic elements because Iris was no longer with us, and we needed to tell the other side of her character and have an emotional narrative. So we needed an actress. So I pulled him back from his feature film world and said, you must join me on this. And we have worked together before, where he's carried my dramatic documentary projects with some dramatic elements. So we've been married 26 years. So we thought, oh, what the heck, we can deal with this. And there were moments when, you know, but mostly we complement each other, and it's worked out well, and we're very happy to be working together.
How was it difficult to find the financing for this film?
Normally it would be, and normally it is on any documentary, and so I started on the usual rounds of broadcasters, distributors, looking up the agencies, trying to figure out how much I could get where. And I had gone back to Alpha and said, here's what we want to do. I need your help to meet Iris's parents, and I need some contacts in Nanking. Perhaps you can help us with your contacts in the States with Global Alliance. And they said, not only can we do that, we can help you with some money. And I said, terrific. So I kept going about what I was doing, and a few months later Dr. Wong came back and said, you get on with making the film. I've raised almost all the money you need. You be creative and leave the rest to me. Well, I said, thank you very much. That's never happened before. Likely never will happen again. But it's I can't tell you what a pleasure and a gift it was to have the burden of raising a substantial amount of money, $1.3 million, so we could concentrate on the film, because we didn't have a long time to make it. We started late, and we wanted to get it finished in time for the 70th anniversary next month. So without his efforts in getting that money, we would still be making it, if at all.
Were there any changes that you would make to the film after it was done, or were you completely satisfied with that?
You're never completely satisfied. There are always changes you could make, and there are always a little thing here that you think, maybe I didn't need to put that in. But I would say for the first time in my long career that I am very, very happy with this film. And apart from a few tweaky things, no, I think I'm happy.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Very curious about the creative process of this movie. I mean, when you first got the script, did the vision of how you were going to make it come immediately, or was it something you had to think and discuss about first?
It presented itself quite early. The way we were going to do this film happened right after we read Iris's book, The Rape of Nanking. And because in The Rape of Nanking, it's a very historical, factual outlay of what happened in Nanking in 1937. But I and Anne kept hearing Iris's voice in between the lines. Her disgust was there that this human tragedy, this human rights abuse was there. And at that point, we knew we wanted to tell Iris's story, and we also knew that we wanted to tell it from her perspective, because she's the one that discovered Nanking to the west in '97, or rediscovered it. And so it presented itself quite easily. Iris was no longer with us, so we couldn't talk to her, but we needed an emotional window to what she was doing, and that's where we came up with the idea of having a docudrama, which is dramatization portions with Olivia Cheng, our actress, as well as interviews and speeches by Iris Cheng herself.
Okay, I'm also a huge advocate of music and how it invokes emotions. How did you, when you thought of doing this movie, did you already have in mind certain composers to do the music? Were you going with Oriental direction with the music, or Western feel to it?
Yes, that was the easiest decision we had.
Yeah.
A friend of ours, Guy Zarafa, and his partner, David Klotz, were known to us for years. We've done a number of pictures with them. And Guy Zarafa has made a very successful living writing for features from Hong Kong and China. And he's got that wonderful sense of Oriental music with a Western bend. And we knew that's exactly what we wanted, because this was a Western young lady, Iris Cheng, who's telling an Oriental story. And Guy, who, by the way, if I may plug him, is nominated for an Oscar for one film, and nominated for the Taipei Golden Horse, which is the Asian version of the Oscar, for another film. And we feel really blessed that he did the musical score for the film. And then did Anne talk to you about about our song for Iris?
I don't think so, no.
Our Yo-Yo Sham, our continuity girl, is a singer, but we were using it as a PA, as a continuity script assistant. And Yo-Yo and Olivia got together and wrote a poem. Olivia wrote the poem. Yo-Yo got her musician friend, and they created a beautiful piece, which is the emotional summation of our film in a song. And we said, okay, let's make this a theme song. So it comes in at the beginning, it's laced in, and then you hear the whole thing at the end. So it's wonderful. So the music part was the easiest.
That's very impressive.
Yeah.
So what would you say was the hardest part then?
That's listening to the survivors in Nanking, who are 80s and 90s, basically not going to make the 80th anniversary of the massacre, tell their stories. And their stories were like it was yesterday. Like you asked them, tell me what happened to you in 1937, and they would just go on for 45 minutes. And they'll tell you everything that happened to them in great detail. And for us to hear the brutality of what happened to them pointed out that this, for me, this is not a statistical film. So many people died so many places. This happened to people. This happened to real human beings. And that was the toughest to take.
It must be hard to take all that and have all these things to do at the same time. Was it, in your way, because when you hear these things, you kind of want to sit down and think about it. But when you're on a busy schedule, it's hard to do that.
Yes, the schedule and the pace is partly a kind of a protector for you for a bit, that you have to go on and do something else that day. I have been known to come home at night and not turn on the lights and just sit there in the dark thinking about this. But the film, the necessity of doing the film, propels you out of it. Iris had the same thing. Iris, you'll see in the film, tells about reading on her word processor the transcription of her interviews, and she would start to shake. She would just start to shake and have to go away, and this lasted for 2-3 hours at a time. She started to lose hair and weight while she was writing the script. So as hard as it was for me, it was much harder for Iris.
Well, I think we're out of time. So I hope you get your time to think and relax after
Thank you.
this busy schedule.
Yeah.
I mean, you guys did
Yeah.
great.
Thank you very much.
I don't even know your name.
Catherine.
Catherine, hey.
Yes.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you too.
Yeah, who are you with?
TorontoTV.
Oh, okay, cool.
Give me my card afterwards.
Oh yeah, no worries about it. I just I feel bad because I was like, okay,
Where am I going?
yeah.
So I know before this movie began, you started making phone calls to Iris' husband, he was in California. You talked to Iris' parents. Tell me a little bit about your journey in trying to get this role.
Well, my journey in trying to get this role, I guess, started in 2005. After I finished filming Broken Trail with Robert Duvall, my interest in Asian American history was piqued again. And through a series of events, the book, The Rape of Nanking, came back onto my radar. And it was actually already a book I knew about when I was a teenager, but I just never gotten around to reading it in its entirety. And so when I finally did read it in its entirety in 2005, I was so blown away by the content and by the passion with which the book was written that I immediately hopped on the internet and was like, I'm going to write a fan letter to Iris Cheng. And in Googling her, that's how I found out that she'd actually passed away a year ago at that point. And the more I read about her life and death, the more she captured my imagination, I suppose, and I found myself unable to forget about her. And I guess in the same way that she didn't want people to forget about the rape of Nanking, I didn't want people to forget about her. And one day, 3 months after moving to Vancouver and deciding that I was going to pursue acting full-time, I just woke up one morning and was like, you know what, if I'm going to do this, then I have to start somewhere. So I need to talk to people who knew her. And I made a phone call to San Jose, and it was ridiculously easy to track down her widower. And with one phone call, I started talking to her widower, Brett Douglas, who, then told me to come down to San Francisco and go through her things at the Hoover Institution, and maybe if I showed that kind of effort, then maybe he would meet with me. So that's kind of how it started. I started working for ET Canada at the time, and in between a set visit to CSI Miami, in between my own red carpet premiere for Broken Trail in New York, I flew to San Francisco for a week, went through Iris's tapes and research materials that she'd used for the Nanking book, and went through all of that at Stanford, and then met with Brett, emailed her parents, emailed people who'd worked with her, emailed her friends, and did all this research and realized I have no idea how to write a screenplay. I barely know how to act. What am I doing? So I put it all away and said, okay, I'm going to give myself 10 years. I'm going to give myself 10 years to find a way to make this a movie and play her in some way. And 9 months later, my agent sent me a breakdown for this movie that at that point was called Iris Cheng, the Woman Who Couldn't Forget. And I flipped out and again got on the internet the next day and wrote them a letter saying, I am your Iris Cheng. Like, give me a shot,
With all this effort that you put into it, in the back of your mind, did you ever think that you weren't going to get this role?
Sure, there's always that possibility, but when I read the email from my agent telling me about this project, I remember I dropped to my knees and was just like, hey God, if this is how it's supposed to happen, then just let it happen, because this is how it's going to happen, then it just means that this is something that's just way bigger than myself, and I just got to trust that it's going to unfold in the way it should, and I hope it unfolds in this way, and if not, then I guess I'm just going to have to find another way. But if I'm meant to be in this project, then let me be in this project, and just please let it happen,
Was it difficult for you to get Iris's character? Did it take a lot of research to try to get how she is, how to talk like she does, think like she does?
Yeah, I definitely worked really hard, and because I'm still a new actor, there's still stuff in the movie that I watch now that I'm kind of like, am I doing there? You know, and I don't know how other people will take it, but I mean, I did a lot of research and I worked really hard because it's a role that means so much to me, and I know it's a role that means so much to the Chinese community that you want to do your absolute best, you know? So it was hard, and I did the best that I could at that time, and if given another chance, I'd probably do a different job, because, you know, you just keep growing as an actor. If that makes any sense?
Yes.
Okay.
That makes sense. Were you nervous of the expectations of the Chinese community?
Oh yeah.
How you portrayed her character, you did it.
Yeah, it's nerve-wracking because I think there's going to be a lot of people in this theater who remember Iris, who might have even met Iris when she did come to Toronto 10 years ago, and the comparisons are inevitable, right? They're going to look at how, whether we look alike, whether we act alike, whether we sound alike, like the comparisons are going to be there, and that's why it's like, you know, I did the absolute best that I could, and I hope that the effort pays off, and I hope that people get something out of this movie and something out of the portrayal. You know, I can't control what their reactions are or what they think or what their opinions are, but it's definitely nerve-wracking to worry about, is anyone going to buy me as Iris Chang? I don't know.
After you completed the film, did your view on Iris and the whole massacre, did it change?
I don't think it changed.
Did you go deeper into it?
Yeah, I think, you know, I think when this story first captivated my attention, it already struck a chord that was so deep within me, like just as a human being and as a human being who happens to be of Chinese descent, this story on so many levels just really resonated with me. You know, both Nanking itself and Iris herself. And so to have the chance to explore both sides of it on an even deeper level, of course it resonates even deeper. And you know, and I'm not sure that I'm done with it because, you know, I set out to make a feature film about Iris, and I haven't really done that, and this might be a step towards that. And I still have 9 years left for my 10-year plan, so maybe one day down the road I will actually get to do that feature film that I originally set out to do.
What message did you want the film to portray to the audience?
I think the message I want people to get out of the movie is, I mean, there's so many different things people can take out of this. They can learn about the, trying to encapsulate it for you in a clips. You know, there's so many messages you can take out of this movie, but if I were to pick one message for people to take out of this, it would be just to look at their own potential and put it towards some good use. Because Iris set out and chased a dream and had no idea how it would affect people or if it would affect people. And it obviously did in a huge way, in a way that she couldn't even have imagined that it would have. So I think for people to look at their own lives and look at how their power of one, which Iris always talked about, they look at how their power of one might change their piece of the world for the better, who knows what the ripple effects could be in this world.
Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Congratulations on the film.
Thank you, Catherine.
Thank you.